Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending our training. Today we will be talking about why security awareness training is beneficial for you and your company, and how you can apply it in your day-to-day life. But first, I'd like to do a short introduction and housekeeping. I'd like to introduce Eric Barriol of Leverage IT Consulting and Christina Price of KnowBe4. Eric is the managing principal of Leverage IT Consulting, an IT services firm providing business technology strategic direction, ongoing services, and project services to local business in Northern Nevada and Northern California. Eric has over 30 years of technology implementation, planning, and executive leadership experience. Christina Price is a senior channel manager at KnowBe4 with over 20 years in the security software industry and specializes in channel growth and development. KnowBe4 is the world's most popular integrated platform for awareness training combined with simulated phishing attacks. They help thousands of organizations to manage the continuing problem of social engineering. With that being said, a majority of today's attendees include our clients, team members, and general business leaders of our community. And please note that this webinar is being recorded. Therefore, it will be available to share with those who could not attend today. For any questions, please use the Q&A button, and they will be answered at the end of the training session. Now, I'd like to hand off to Eric to get us all started.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, and welcome. What we really want to do here is provide some great training around an issue that has really impacted business and individuals significantly over the last 4 or 5 years and ramped up as well significantly over the last year. And what we're experiencing, what we want to do here is share with you a little bit about how and where the situation is with cybercrime, phishing, malware, hacking attacks, why it's happening, what businesses and individuals can do about it, and allow you to walk away with some really valuable training on what to look for and how to protect yourself or your businesses coming out of this working session. What we've experienced with Leverage IT and our clients is really a significant increase in malware infections, attacks over the last 3 to 4 years. And the causes of that is because, frankly, it's become lucrative to propagate these attacks into small and medium-sized businesses as well as huge enterprise. So it really is paying to conduct these criminal actions. What we've seen is a steady progression over the last 25 years, and we've separated these into some specific generations or activities that we've seen. Starting really in the 1990s, we saw generation 1 of these attacks. Primarily, these were propagated by computer hobbyists, individual delinquents, and they were really stretching their computing know-how and knowledge, and were in it for the challenge. After that, we saw generation 2, and that's where we started seeing fast-spreading worms that would propagate through network systems and be infecting multiple people, not only in one computer, but multiple computers. And this really started causing some multi-million-dollar losses where they were really corrupting and shutting down network and mid-range server systems. After generation 2, we get into the money-making individuals start jumping into malware and infections. And we started to see botnets, which are thousands of infected PCs being owned and controlled by criminal organizations. And those criminal organizations send out spam, attack websites, attack networks and servers through denial of service, distributed denial of service attacks. And what they were really going after was identity theft or extortion. And that's where we really started seeing Generation 4, where organized crime, they actually got in and they determined that, hey, there's a lot of money to be made. And they started really organizing malware that would stay dormant for a number of weeks or months until they got these botnets put together. And we saw a significant increase in the malware quality. They were going after sophisticated large targets where there was a significant amount of money to be made, but they were using all businesses in these botnets or distributed denial of service attacks. And then this is an extension of where we started seeing some of the extortion, where they would encrypt hard drives and extort the money out of people to release those assets. And we're currently in Generation 5, where there's a whole organized underground economy which has been formed around stealing these identities, stealing and providing illegal services which can be bought and sold. And there's criminal social networks, there's actually escrow services where someone can put money into a service and pay for goods. Malware can be licensed, and you can actually get technical services and support on malware now from these organized criminals and organizations across the globe. We see pay-for-play malware infections, and there is a broad market for zero-day exploits. And what that is when a new security vulnerability is exposed, the kits that create these malware get it embedded and distributed, and then those zero-day exploits are immediately available for attacks with any of the botnets that might be released. So we've seen a significant increase in the quality, and now it's a professional criminal organization and industry that's out. What I wanted to do here is share a little bit about the values of this stolen information. And this is really shocking, the amount of revenue that can be made by stealing this information. And this is why it's so important to protect this stuff individually and as an organization or a company. But you can see bank account information retrieved through keyloggers. Malware is $15 to $850. These are reported between Symantec and Panda Labs, which is another security reporting organization. Email account login, credit card information, bank transfers, spam rental, VPN or file transfer tools, and server admin credentials are all on the market for anyone who is willing to pay for any of these retrieved through organized crime, through botnet, and the distribution of these attacks. There's a report that's written by a joint group between the FBI and the National White Collar Crime Center, and they produce a Internet Crime Compliance Center or Complaint Center, IC3, and we've got some statistics between 2001 and 2014 on the number of reported attacks to the FBI. And you can see there was a significant increase in these attacks from 2001 through 2009. And then it dipped down, and it's really stayed steady since 2009 through 2014, which was the latest report that was produced by the IC3. And some of the information wrapped around these attacks, and generally these attacks, is that IC3 reports that in 2014, the reports that they were aware of totaled over $781 million, and each complaint was about $3,000 per complaint. IBM estimates that there's about 16 or 17,000 attacks daily, and there's over 1.5 million cyber attacks annually. Out of that 2014 information, in 2014, about 47% of American adults had their information breached in some way. And McAfee, which is a security company owned by Intel, reports that the global cost of cybercrime is around $400 billion. So we are talking about significant dollars at stake here, and that is what is attracting all of these increases in the cost to business and individuals, as well as the number of attacks and the quality of the attacks themselves. And what we want to do here is talk about this. We sort of know why it's happening and how it's happening, but what can we do individually to protect ourselves? And there are some infrastructure things that should be in place. A business class firewall, updating security firmware on that firewall and monitoring of it, adding DNS and URL protection. We implemented DNS and URL protection for our client base at the middle of last year. We saw a little over 66% decrease in the number of virus and malware infections on all of our endpoints. So that's critical and something that businesses can look at as well. Businesses and individuals at home should be implementing professional paid-for business class antivirus. And the virus definitions should be monitored and kept updating. This is significant in decreasing the impact of any or the ability for attack. And then you always need network access control policies. Those need to be broadly understood and implemented. Monitoring and reporting of attacks and trends, as well as security policies and end user security training. And that's why we have partnered with KnowBe4, because they are the expert in end user security training, which is the biggest gap that we see. We can do a lot of infrastructure and policy setup, but the end user training is a serious and significant impact. So I'm going to turn it over to Christine right now, and she's going to go through how they help train their companies. Christine?
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for allowing me to join Leverage IT and presenting today. I do want to just take a few moments and, like Eric said, tell you a little bit about KnowBe4 and what we're doing here. KnowBe4 is the world's most popular integrated platform for security awareness training combined with simulated phishing attacks. We have been basically helping thousands of different organizations manage the problem of social engineering. We are a company based out of Tampa Bay, Florida, founded in 2010 by my CEO, Stu Showerman. Stu Showerman had sold a previous antivirus company in 2010, and in that time decided that there were some changes going on where gone were the days where we can rely 100% on our antivirus firewall encryption. We also need to start focusing more on human error and providing our users some really good training as well as phishing. So eventually we ended up partnering up with Kevin Mitnick, world-known, world-famous hacker. He actually does some really nice live demonstrations in our training to show your users what can potentially happen if they happen to click on something that they shouldn't have. So the way the program works is what we end up doing is starting off with a baseline test. This consists of a phishing email that you send out to your users. Based on that email going out to your users and who clicks on what, you're going to have what we call a phish-prone percentage. Now, typically that percentage ends up being a pretty high percentage because your user is not familiar with what a phishing email could potentially be. Seeing a phishing email coming internally from their IT department with their domain doesn't trigger a thought that maybe perhaps this isn't something internally. Maybe it is something that's being generated from somewhere else. So usually your phish-prone percentage is pretty high. So what we decide to do from there is educate your users, give them some nice on-demand, interactive, engaging training. We do the demonstrations, as I mentioned, with Kevin, and we also do some ongoing steps in order to keep security front of mind. One of those being security hints and tips emails. These are emails that'll go out to your users, letting them know of certain threats. For example, things they should be aware of already. For example, if they see a USB stick on the floor, pick it up, put it in their computer, stuff like that that they shouldn't be doing. So these will give them some tips on keeping that front of mind. Also, what we do is our phishing security emails. These are tons of different phishing emails. You can access hundreds of different templates with unlimited usage. You can go ahead and utilize the templates that we provide. You can customize those, or you can even make your own phishing emails if you've come across before, some in the past before that maybe perhaps you've almost clicked on as well. And most importantly, what we're doing is giving you the results. You're going to be able to see some really nice enterprise strength reporting. You'll see some stats and graphs, both on the training and phishing side. So you'll know exactly what your users are doing. You'll know that they're educated. If they know they're not clicking, if they're constantly clicking, maybe they perhaps need more training. As you can see in this example here, our initial baseline that was sent out based on an analysis over 3,600 accounts, you could see the initial 15.9% was the phish prone percentage when they started. After educating their users and putting them through training over the course of 12 months, you could see that that percentage greatly went down to the 1.2%, which is definitely the trend that you want to see and absolutely 100% showing you that the program works. Here is just a couple of quick examples for you to see how our templates are presented. For example, the one on the left looks like it's coming from Pizza Hut. Your user gets that, maybe it's lunchtime, they're excited, they want some free pizza, they click and they fail. So you have a lot of different options, as I mentioned earlier, hundreds of different templates to utilize and choose from. The best way to really see which of your users are going to actually click and actually see which percentage of your employees are phish prone, what we provided is a link here, and we'll also share that when we're completed. Leverage will get that over to you. What we'll do is give you an option to go ahead and run your own phishing security test to see for yourself exactly which one of your users are vulnerable to clicking. This is going to help and see that eventually training is the key. You know, really educate those users and let them know exactly what it is they need in order to stay safe. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Christina. I appreciate that. Like to take this back over. So what we've talked about and what we've seen is why are these attacks happening? Some infrastructure and specific tools that all of us can use to help protect ourselves. And then what we talked about is the end user training and how that might play into a strategy, a multi-layered protection strategy. So what I'd like to do is ask Sarah if we have any questions and answers through the Q&A. If you have a question that you would like us to take a look at, if you can click on the Q&A button right at the top of your screen, then we'll go ahead and get those answered. Sarah, is there any questions out there?
I do have a question. I would like to know, what do you do in case if your system's already been attacked?
Okay, great. So I can handle that one. If you already have behavior on your system that is exhibiting indications that it's been infected, so web pages won't load or things are really running slowly, you want to notify your IT service provider or your IT team immediately. You want to disconnect that system from the network, and then you need to go through some remediation and cleanup activities. If all else fails, what you need to do is actually wipe that system and rebuild the operating system, install all the applications. And if you have a good backup strategy where your data is protected on a server or those sorts of things, we can always get that data back through backups, as well as there are some imaging of desktops that can be done. But the immediate thing that needs to be done is that system has to be isolated. And then someone who is good at using antivirus tools needs to go in and clean up that system.
Okay, perfect. And then I have another question here. And what type of information can hackers receive if an attack is successful?
Christina, do you want to handle that one?
I can. I mean, there's definitely a lot of information that they would be able to get access to very simply. You know, if you send out a phishing email, perhaps asking your users for social security numbers or any kind of direct account information, it's very easy for them to click, respond, and capture that data. So there's a lot of information out there that they'd actually be vulnerable to and giving out as far as information to those users. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that they would get access to.
That's great. Sarah, I see that we're at the end of our 20-minute training session. So what I did want to do is if there are any questions that we have not gotten to, we will make a note of that and get that out to all of the participants with that answer. But what we really wanted to do with this education session is give you some applicable tools leaving this as well. And so here is a social engineering red flag tool that we're going to be sending out to all the participants in this training. And what this will really enable you to do is identify when you may be getting a phishing attack email. And this is by far and large the majority of where these successful attacks come in from. So we'll be providing this as a mail out after the session. I want to once again thank everybody for participating. I know that it's been very valuable for us to get it out to you, and we're going to have this recording available so that we can share it with others that might not be able to. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions or issues or needs, please reach out to Leverage IT, www.leverageitc.com, and we will be able to handle anything with KnowBe4 or that you might need. Thank you very much. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.